In Latin, there is a proverb, timid nosce, which means to know thyself. Our ability to know thyself is a direct revelation of our spirituality. It is measured through our actions and our abilities to wear the shoes of others with empathy and compassion. However, it is an ability that will never be known by those who seek their destiny at the expense of others. Those who choose to believe that there is something that is owed to them by all of society because of their hard work, their status, and their bigotry.
So how's your salad, Marvin?
Good, Mike.
Good? Yeah. All right. Everything that Marvin always asks for. How's your salad, Tom?
Pretty good so far.
Good so far, huh?
Those who covet their pride cause the destruction of all, either directly or indirectly, even those who they claim to love, because they fail to self-realize the truth of who they have become. In the beginning, everything seems pure and innocent, until their return to the labor camps in Jay, Oklahoma, where the truth will become known. It is upon their return to these labor camps that slowly over time the truth of their indentured servitude begins to reveal itself. The truths of physical bondage and human trafficking slowly become more self-evident as time goes on, because this was the underlying purpose all along. The more servitude that is received causes more servitude to be required, and if they refuse, they will be punished.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Say hi.
Bye. Bye.
Hi.
Bye. Who is that?
They're all working very hard.
Oh, you me send that to. Ah, yes.
I thought you were like.
However, upon learning the truth, If you still freely choose to wear the hat, over time it will become more difficult to remove. And eventually, there comes a time when the music will stop and the concept of your time to play begins to reveal a whole new meaning in your life.
Sorry, Jack.
Marvey's
Back. How's it hanging, Phil? Child's Play 2. He's the original. He'll take your breath away. He rules. Did you miss me, Andy? I sure missed you. Child's Play 2. Keep an eye out for it.
I should have asked you this a long time ago.
Tam.
Will you be my bride?
Marvey. Yes. Yes. Marvey.
Why are you crying?
I always cry at weddings. Oh my God. I'm crying. I wonder if all the plumbing works.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm starting to feel like Pinocchio here. I am anatomically correct, you know. What?
Have you got a rubber?
Have I got a rubber?
Yeah.
Tam.
What?
Look at me! I'm all rubber!
Oh, that's right. Wait, I thought you were plastic.
Tam.
Marvey.
Who the hell are you?
Shitface.
Now, what kind of a name is that? Where are your mother and father?
Judging from that face, my guess is they're hiding.
Shut up, you asshole.
Well, come on. It looks like the kid fell off the ugly tree and hit every branch on the way down. I mean, you gotta feel bad for the parents. I wonder what they must look like. Whoa.
Oh my God.
So with the birth of their first offspring, Marvey realized that Tam could produce a whole team of indentured servants for him. So they sought the advice of the obstetrician to help Marvey achieve his lifelong dream, for he knew that with the propagation of more indentured servants, Marvey's labor camp would flourish. However, there were complications, because Marvey tended to get jealous when the obstetrician would touch Tam too much, and ultimately Marvey's jealousy got the best of him as he convinced Tam that it was necessary to terminate the obstetrician because he had betrayed both Marvey and Tam in their best interest for the propagation of their human trafficking farm.
They don't walk and talk by themselves. Listen, if you want them to work, I'm going to have to take them apart.
Is Mommy ill?
The courts thought so.
It's up.
Marvey and Tam knew that they had become a true team.
They're stark raving mad.
However, their children would begin to display concern toward Mommy and Daddy's peculiar methodology in their growing passion of their achievements.
Hey, you're pissing your pants!
Marvey. She just had an accident.
You mean he had an accident?
Don't look at me.
However, despite all the servants that Tam was able to provide for Marvey, he still wanted more. It soon became evident to Marvey that Tam's natural gestation, with a term of 9 months for each servant, was inadequate to functionally propagate his human trafficking farm. So as a result, they would seek new alternatives in multiple subjects to help them more rapidly propagate their labor force.
In artificial insemination, timing is everything, so you'll have to hurry. That shouldn't be a problem for you.
Yeah, just don't let that player get into her pants. I don't want him touching my woman till I'm him and you're her.
Right.
Hey, aren't you gonna give me a hand here?
But even with Tam's helping hand in their continued propagation of Marvey's human trafficking farm, over time it became evident that Tam and Marvey clearly began to see things in a very different light of perspective.
See? What did I tell you? A beautiful little girl.
What? Are you blind? That's my boy. Yeah. He just said it hasn't had his growth spurt yet. Don't worry about it, son. You're a late bloomer, that's all. And it's high time that you had a real name. Let's see. I'm gonna call you Glenn.
Glenn? What kind of name is that for a girl? Don't listen to him, honey. From now on, your name is Glenn.
And this was just the beginning. Soon, even with all Tam's cooperation in the propagation of his labor farm, Marvey still sought to acquire more. Artificial insemination was no longer enough to suit Marvey's needs, so he began to broaden his hopes for more natural insemination of his growing selection of potential candidates. However, Tam soon discovered Marvey's new aspirations, and when she did, she began to see how good a guy Marvey had truly become.
What the hell is going on in here?
She came on to me.
Help me! Shut her up, asshole. Help me! Somebody help me! Somebody help me! What the hell is this? We had an agreement.
Marvey.
We decided, for the sake of our child, we weren't gonna do this shit anymore.
No, you decided, just like you decided our son was a girl.
He is a girl.
He is a boy, goddammit, and he's the most promising killer I have ever seen. You should have been there, Tiff. You would have been so proud of him.
I want a girl.
I want a boy.
You're tearing me apart. What about what I want?
What?
What?
So Tam had come to realize the truth. She could see that Marvey would never change, and Tam told her daughter Glenda that they needed to attempt an escape from this life of destitution and oppression that they had become enslaved to.
Wish me luck, sweet face. Mommy's gonna be a star.
I can't think of a thing to say. Fuck it.
Give me the power, I beg of you. Lovo mercier de bois chaillot. C'est quoi, entienne bois d'amour. Allez, doué, dumbala. And switch! And switch! Switch, switch, switch! Oh, no!
Nobody leaves me. Nobody.
Okay, son.
Oh, honey. Be a good girl. Or boy. Whatever. Don't make the same mistakes your mom and dad made. Especially your dad.
And to her own dismay, Tam would eventually learn the truth that few have ever escaped the fate of starving Marvin's cult. And of those who did, even fewer lived to tell about it. As the oracle of an altruistic destiny, I am of the few who have managed to survive the perversion of Marvey's cult. I was once asked by an individual, why don't I speak with my brothers? And the only answer that I can offer is simply because in all my efforts to communicate with them, I have failed to earn their respect. They don't respect my values, my ethics, and they continuously ridicule me in my own spiritual journey for the search for enlightenment, truth, and spiritual oneness with all. As a result, I have been forced to walk upon a pathway that both my brothers scoff at me for pursuing. And in that light, I have failed in my own ability to help them self-realize the truth that what they are doing is both cruel and unusual unto all those who become the victims of these narcissistic diversions. But at the same time, I have also failed in my attempts to help their victims as one who has experienced and endured the same fate of cruelty and narcissism that they will become subjected to.
What's for dessert?
Bread pudding, turtle cheesecake, raspberry cheesecake, key lime cheesecake.
Bread pudding sounds good.
Huh?
Bread pudding sounds good.
All right, this one?
Yeah, I don't want What were the choices?
Turtle cheesecake, raspberry cheesecake, key lime cheesecake, pineapple upside down cake, French fudge sundae, carrot cake, and red pudding.
Okay, I'll take cheesecake.
Which one?
And the choices were
Turtle, raspberry, and key lime.
raspberry.
Raspberry. All right, perfect. Then I'll get you another cup.
This was the product of working for Starving Marvin's Produce. And as we can see, it's not just the produce that causes Starving Marvin, but it's the workers. And Tom doesn't have anything to eat. This is my plate. I just can't seem to find anything else on it. So we're just going to have to do without. What do you think, Tom?
That'll work.
That'll work, yes. But see, now if you look at Marvin's plate.
Marvin wouldn't buy it.
Marvin's got plenty to eat there. He's got so much that he can't even finish it. So, Marvin's not starving, but all his workers are. So we need your help to sell more produce so that Tom and Mike won't have to starve as much as they used to.
You need to go to Las Vegas, son.
Why is that?
Be a comedian.
Comedian? Oh, no.
Well, you can go to Laughlin, ain't as far.
Yes, this is definitely not a comedian matter. This is more a political matter. I mean, we've got Starving Marvin should be a politician. He's so good at it.
Really?
Yeah.
To be condemned to a life on Starving Marvin's human trafficking farm is indeed a fate that I would never wish upon anyone. But at the same time, in the face of your torturous mission that lies ahead of you, I offer you all my blessings and hope, so that you may achieve some level of success. Perhaps you will be able to succeed where indeed I have clearly failed. Perhaps you harbor an ability that I clearly lack that will allow you to add a more legitimate purpose to Marvin's life, a purpose that might help him find some small measure of empathy for his indentured servants instead of condemning them to his narcissistic aspirations. The very aspirations that cause his continued construction of these walls of confinement and protection that he currently seeks in this unending need to protect his limited identity. Sadhguru once explained to me how our purposes in life must be sought on a mystical level, because even with all our science and all our hard work, all they can ever offer or teach us is that which lies within the physical aspects of life. These concepts can only be explored on a physical level, and we can never perceive the truth by merely dissecting everything on a physical level. The very nature of this physicality involves an infinite level of complexity, where the more and more we break it down, the more complicated it truly becomes. However, if we explore our lives on a more holistic level, we can perceive life not with the physical senses, but with our inward perception. This is the awakening of our soul. This machine that we have come to know as the human body is the most sophisticated community of knowledge ever assembled on the face of the planet at this time. In this embodiment of our spiritual selves, I choose to work smart, not hard. And by working smart, I don't mean to use our intellect and our empowerment to exploit, manipulate, and oppress other people as some means to attain our own egoistic benefits in life. No, I'm talking about the idea of mystically pursuing our lives, because within 30 hours we can explore something beyond our physical nature, which is uniquely us. And by doing that, it will open a door to our perception of the universe on a mystical level. And once we choose to walk through this door to explore that mystical realm and study it, how long we choose to stay in this environment will be the direct reflection of our own eagerness to know this truth. I tried to share my truths with both Marvin and Mark as I encouraged them to walk with me in search of their own pathway as a fundamental purpose of our journey in life. However, both ridiculed me for this, each in his own unique way. One was so proud that he thought he already knew the truth, and the other treated me like some kind of idealistic fool who failed to take the responsibility to live in his own world of reality that he continuously impressed upon all others. However, realism and idealism are subjective concepts based on how we choose to define our total knowledge of the universe. The total knowledge of the 26 known dimensions of the universe consists of 4 aspects. These 4 aspects are intellect, identity, memory, and chitta, which has no literal translation, but is a reference to the warehouse of all our experiences, all our feelings, and all our memories, not just in this life, but in all our past life experiences as well. Our intellect is the logical aspect of our knowledge that dissects everything and wants to try to satisfy the need to know how everything works. Then there's the association of our identity, which is what constitutes our perception of who we are in relationship to this physical being and how we appear to the world. One of the first things that we should do, that the Western world so often fails to do in our education, is to teach us how to identify ourselves through every one, and not just identify ourselves with this physical vessel that we call the human body. Our identity must be recognized on a universal scale in order to have a clear perception of the truth. In a similar fashion, we should never educate our children without first teaching them that their identity is indeed universal. For the moment we do so, we create the juggernauts sought after in Marvey's cult. And by supporting this endeavor, we empower this cult to defend its own limited identity in a way that will continuously cause disharmony amongst all those around them. This is the very cause of the cruelty that we see inflicted upon all others, and it is justified in followers in their own minds by believing that they are doing the right thing. So whether your identity becomes limited to your race, your religion, your culture, your nationality, your family, or anything else, you will insist on using your power to reinforce that limited identity, and thereby cause harm on all those around you and all those to whom you love. And this is the first indication that you are using your power to defend the limited identity. Another dimension of intelligence or total knowledge is memory. There are 8 types of memory which are essential in the demarcations of our boundaries. Within those 8 types, there's one particular type, however, that is boundless, which is called chitta. In today's social system, there is no effort to dip into our chitta to further know ourselves because we are too enamored with our intellect, too distracted by our glamour, and the fact that we have become so lost in our efforts to dissect the world placed before us. Whatever we have become, we aspire to be something more. Thus, there is one dimension which wants us to constantly expand, while there is another dimension that wants us to build walls for safety and protection. These are the complementary concepts of memory. So coming back to the examples of Marvey's cult, there is an aspect of this identity which does aspire to be something more. However, its ideological failure is the result of building all these walls around this egocentric identity in an effort to protect this limited identity from anything or anyone that might threaten its security. The only solution to prevent this is to take our own responsibility to shred the impertinent memories, because the dead must be left to the dead. Otherwise, we cannot form new memories which will allow us to become something more, but instead we will only strive to build more walls for more safety and protection. With all our smaller wounds in life, we can heal, and this creates wisdom. But some of our experiences are wounds in which we will never recover from in an entire lifetime. With all our experiences in life, we can either make them into wounds or a source of wisdom. If they become wisdom, we will find the solutions in life. But if we become wounded, they will only become one more problem in life that causes more pain and suffering for not only ourselves, but for all those around us. And how we respond to those experiences is strictly our own choice. There are 2 fundamental dimensions inside you. The first is an instinct of survival. This is the sum of all the mechanisms that are turned on at birth to ensure your own survival. The second is our longing for endless expansion. However, nature doesn't set our bondage. All our problems are not created by any aspect of our survival instincts, but rather by the bondage that we create by our longing to expand endlessly and establish the walls of security that we build within our memories and we build within our lives. This is the source of all our pain and suffering. Whether we give our children a good ass whipping, or whether we ridicule anything or anyone that is outside of our own limited identity, it becomes a subconscious effort to protect one's own identity by trying to secure its continued survival. But there comes a point in life where you must make a decision to either live by the sword that you have raised in protection of your own limited identity, or whether you will choose to seek the humility that will allow you to lower your defenses and expand your identity on a universal scale. This is a decision to become humble enough to walk upon a spiritual pathway in order to know thyself and become one with all the other people of the world. This is what Jesus meant when he said, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life," in John chapter 8, verse 12. In a similar meaning, to know thyself is our ability to walk upon a pathway of light through which we can become spiritually one with all. Perhaps you, as the bride of Marvey, can guide him on a journey that will allow him to lay down the sword and walk with his spiritual brothers upon this pathway of humility that we have so chosen, a pathway that will enable him to know thyself and come to understand all these truths for himself. I wish you both the best on your journey, your coming matrimony, and to whatever fate awaits you in your coming future.
हम लोग यूनिवर्सिटी के पास में बाजू में। आप क्या गाड़ी में हैं क्या? गाड़ी में हैं क्या? मैं दिल्ली में ही रह गया, मैं आपका फोन नहीं आया।